Hey everyone, Rho here. So we kicked off Vulkan week yesterday, and today we continue on by discussing his ultimate reunion with his legion, the true forming of the Salamanders. Spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from the Horus Heresy Primarch series novel, Vulkan Lord of Drakes, by author David Annandale. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself, without spoilers. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, in yesterday's discussion, we focused on Vulkan's time spent by his father's side, how it appears he spent far longer under the Emperor's tutelage than most of his other brothers, even leading their legions into battle before being united with his own. And as I said yesterday, for me the Emperor made this decision largely due to Vulkan's nature, his humanity, and initial reluctance to be a general. With his own legion's self-sacrificing nature, the Emperor had to ensure Vulkan could be the general, the warlord that he needed to be, for his survival as well as his legions. I mean, let's think about it for a minute. A reluctant general united with a legion who place their humanity over logical decisions. It's really a recipe for disaster. The Emperor needed them to fight his battles, not the ones their hearts decided. And so, like forging a tool in the forge, he moulded Vulkan into the Primarch he needed him to be. And next came the Legion. Now, as we know, even after his long tutelage, Vulkan was first sent back to Nocturne to prepare with his new legionaries, and he was to remain there for quite a while, awaiting orders to unite with the bulk of his legion, the Marines birthed on Terra, the Terran 18th. As of yet, the 18th was yet to adopt the name of the Salamanders. And so Vulkan waited, until then, finally, the Emperor gave the order. The Terran 18th Legion had been fighting valiantly within the Crusade, though they had been suffering devastating casualties, due in no small part to their selfless sacrifice, going above and beyond for the people of the fledgling Imperium, making one desperate last stand after another. No surprise there then, true sons of Vulkan despite never meeting their Primarch. But this is why I say I feel father and sons had to learn the same lesson, on how to harness their humanity, when and where to listen to it, and when to use the practicalities of war. For Vulkan, as I said yesterday, he needed to understand that nature inside him, how he is a being of love and compassion, but also a leader of war. To truly lead his sons, he needed to embrace and understand both equally. However, for his sons, you can see the result of one overriding the other. Without the guidance of their Primarch, the Legion is upon the brink of extinction. In fact, as Vulkan receives the orders from the Emperor, the Terran legionaries are making a stand against an overwhelming force of orcs, having given what time they could into evacuating the people. An estimated 1 million orcs against barely 19,000 Astartes. And this was transpiring on the world of Anateum. Now, it's more the actual reunion itself I want to focus on, rather than the battle to get there. However, as you would expect, it's an absolutely awesome encounter. When Vulkan and the Nocturne fleet arrive, the orcs have surrounded the world, dominating the void above, possessing a crude but formidable attack moon. If you know anything about orc constructions, while they may look crude, and as if they shouldn't work, if they do, they are essentially mobile fortresses. It takes a monumental effort to take them down. And this is perfectly exemplified by this attack moon, as there's even the wreckage of a Legion battleship embedded in the side of it, as the Terran legionaries had attempted to ram it, but to no avail. Vulkan knows he's got to take this out to stand a chance of saving the rest of his Legion. And so, well, that's exactly what he does. Using one of his newly created fabled artifacts, the Spear of Fire, Vulkan and his men launch a boarding assault, using the Spear of Fire to burrow through the Orc moon. Once hitting the core, they detonate 7 seismic charges to destroy the moon from the inside out, in doing so cutting off the nigh-on limitless Orc reinforcements. So immense is the explosion that it can be seen by the embattled and overwhelmed 18th Legionaries on the surface, and huge meteors of debris begin to crash down into the surface, destroying Orcs with every crater. And as the Orc warlord confronts the embattled Legionaries, there's an absolutely awesome line announcing Vulkan's arrival. Then a demigod dropped from the sky. The warrior hit the ground, and his sudden presence had the power of an orbital bombardment. And it's little moments like this in the lore that just give you the chills, that just make 40k what it is. Let's not forget, this is the moment that these Terran legionaries are laying eyes on their Primarch for the very first time. This isn't some introduction on Terra or on the bridge of a battleship. This is a legion battling against the odds, surrounded and outnumbered by an overwhelming force of Orcs, confronted by a warlord bigger than even a Primarch. Just when it seems all the hope is lost, an almighty explosion racks the sky, clearly signalling the Orcs' fortress has been destroyed. The debris landing begins to take out Orcs by the score, and confusion is racking through their forces. And then bang, Vulkan just lands there in front of the warlord like an absolute tank. Ugh, these are the moments I just love 40k. There is absolutely no first Primarch introduction like that. And with the entire battlefield momentarily stunned, Vulkan hacks off the warlord's arms, picking up his severed power claw and driving it back into its chest. The battle after this entrance is of course an absolute landslide, with the newly united 18th Legion decimating the Orcs. But it's in the short aftermath after that I think the key to Vulkan's and his Legion's journey is revealed, as Vulkan refuses to allow the Terran 18th to kneel before him, instead kneeling to them as a show of respect. We get to glimpse the truth of his inner thoughts. "Did you know, Father?" he wondered. "Did you know this moment would come? Is that why you bade me wait? So that I too would see and understand." Everything about Vulkan's journey from the beginning was about preparing him, making sure he became the Primarch he needed to be. And here, at the true birth of the Salamanders, he himself begins to see that. He begins to see that everything the Emperor has done was in order to prepare him for the job to come, to be the Primarch he was needed to be, for himself, for the Crusade, and most importantly for his Legion. So why did Vulkan get such time and devotion, when you could say his other brothers didn't? Well, who knows? Is it because the Emperor had the time earlier in the crusade to spare? It allowed him to devote the time to Vulkan. Is it simply because he was fond of Vulkan? In seeing Vulkan inherited his humanity, he saw something in Vulkan that his other sons lacked. Is it maybe because Vulkan needed that attention that others hadn't up to that point? The established order of Primarch discoveries as we know it, disregarding the Alfarius rumours for now, is Horus obviously first, followed by Leman Russ, then one of the lost Primarchs, then Ferrus Manus, Fulgrim, and then Vulkan. So we know that Vulkan was one of the very earlier Primarchs found. I think it is reasonable to say the Emperor felt he had more time to spend with his sons here. And as we know, he does seem to be particularly fond of some of these earlier Primarchs. Horus, Leman Russ, Ferrus Manus, and undoubtedly Vulkan. It could simply be that Vulkan benefited from being found earlier, and those that came later drew the shorter straws. I don't think there can be any argument that some brothers such as Conrad Kurz desperately needed more time with their father. However, for whatever reason, that simply didn't come. Maybe that's a debate for another day. However, there has to be some reason that Vulkan received it when others didn't. For me, if I had to give my reasoning on why Vulkan received this treatment, I think it was partly due to the Emperor realizing the Primarch he had found, the one who had inherited his true humanity, realizing how important Vulkan was, not only to the Great Crusade, but also to the relationship with his brothers, how important that notion of humanity would be. Especially if we look at the Primarchs found before Vulkan, despite the Emperor being undoubtedly fond of them, they are very much the warrior kind. Horus, Leman Russ and Ferrus. 3 undoubted generals of war. Of course, another notion of that is that he could see that the Legion without the Primarch was already struggling, and so he needed to ensure that Vulkan was ready to deal with that problem. He was able to be the Primarch that the 18th Legion needed. Regardless of the reasonings behind it though, Vulkan did ultimately be united with his Legion. In this moment they went from being the 18th to the Salamanders. Behold the furnace, behold the anvil of war, behold the flames of rebirth. Hear me, my sons, hear your name. You are the Fireborn, you are the Salamanders. For Vulkan and his Legion, it's an interesting heritage that they share, undoubtedly interlinked by the humanity within. As all the sons of the Primarchs, they have inherited the best virtues of their father, but also the flaws that come with it. Only in uniting the Legion with the Primarch that Vulkan became, could the fate of the Salamanders truly be reversed. They could begin to become the Legion they were supposed to be. However, as we know, fate wouldn't always be kind to the Salamanders. While they exemplified their performance in the Great Crusade, with the coming of the heresy they would be betrayed, becoming a shattered Legion at the betrayal of Istvan, and never again would they regain their former strength. Despite this unfortunate future, we know the character that Vulkan instilled in his sons lives on well into the 40k timeline, and it could well be said with the Ultima founding that more sons of Vulkan across the stars only benefits the Imperium's future, for in them beats the heart of the Lord of Drakes. But as always everyone, what do you think? Why do you feel that Vulkan had to go through such a journey to be reunited with his Legion? In those thoughts after the Ultimate Union, do you feel he realised why the Emperor kept him away for so long? And would the results have been the same if the Emperor had simply united Vulkan with his legion from the start? How different would the outcome have been then, if Vulkan wasn't truly ready to embrace his legion, to be the general they needed him to be? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? With that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.